Today we're looking at the new TRACK E audio recorders from Tentacle Sync, and honestly, these might be the first completely perfect product I've ever used. Let's get undone.
Gerald Undone. He's crazy.
What's happening, everybody? I'm Gerald Undone, and Han Solo shot first. So normally I script my videos, but today I decided to just wing it because I thought it would be a more natural way for me to express just how excited and impressed I am by these recorders. The sound you're hearing right now is coming from the TRACK E and the included Lav Mic. Now, even though this is probably going to sound like a giant sales pitch, I promise you that this video is not sponsored by Tentacle Sync. I actually reached out to them because I thought that these recorders seemed very interesting. This video does have a sponsor though, and that's Storyblocks. Okay, so like I said, I'm already recording on this one so that you can hear the audio, but I'm going to go ahead and unbox another one so you can see just how quickly and easily you can get set up. I've said before I don't like doing unboxings on my channel because I don't like promoting packaging and waste and all that, but this is the one I already opened. So we're not going to really do an unboxing, but more I'm just going to show you how to get it set up from the box state. Although these do seem like they're using, environmentally friendly packages and stuff like that, so good on them. The Tentacle Sync products, if you don't know, are designed and manufactured in Germany. And let's see what we got in the box here. So as soon as you open it up, you just get the recorder right on top, nice and easy, and then right in the box where you remove it from, it explains basically how to use it because there's just a couple switches on the device and that's how you activate it. And then there's a QR code here that you can scan to get the app, and I'll show you about the app in a minute. Okay, so take this out. Underneath that is another cardboard box, and inside you get some stuff. So first off, there's a little carrying case that comes with it, which is nice. I like their branding, and then there's a smaller one as well, but we don't need those to get up and running. A couple USB cables. One is USB-C to A and C to C, because you don't need to use a card reader. You can actually just transfer the files from the recorder directly to your computer, and you can also charge it over that USB-C port, including power delivery, which is great. I haven't done a complete rundown test on the battery yet, but I'm told you can get up to 10 hours, I think, of record time, but it's been fine for all the tests that I've been doing. What else do you got? A little instruction thing. And then in here, you get a lav. So it comes with a lav included. And it's pretty good. It's quite small. That's the full size of it there. But you have, in this little accessory bag, it comes with a clip and a little screen cover, which hopefully you can see right here. And those are the two things that I have on now on this one that's clipped to my chest. And then you also get a little wind muff that you can put on, so that's handy. And then inside this one, you get a belt clip, like so, and it's quite strong. And then they even give you little colored ones, which I'm sure actually for like pairing, how like they make their own timecode generators, and I think it's probably for, making matched pairs for different cameras and stuff like that. But I just like it because you can switch from their orange branded color to a purple one, if you like, and you know how I like me some purple. Anyway, so that's pretty much everything you get. Now, as far as getting it operational, it's as easy as taking the mic, screwing it in the top, and it comes with an SD card, a micro SD card, already loaded into it. So you can see this here. So there's already an SD card in there. It's a 16 gig one, I think. Let me double check that for you. Yeah, it's a SanDisk 16 gig micro SD card. And like I said, if you don't have a card reader, that's fine because you can use the recorder as a card reader. Then to turn it on, there's a toggle switch on the side here, which you just hold down, and then you'll see that it lights up, and give it a second to boot up, and then right away it'll start giving you a meter. So I'm talking in the microphone now, and you can see that it's generating levels there. And to start recording, you just take that same toggle switch and just flick it up, and then the light turns red, and now we're recording. And you don't have to worry about setting the gain on these because they do 32-bit float recording, so there's going to be enough bits for volume headroom to basically make it so it doesn't matter whether you under-record or over-record, you're going to be able to normalize the levels for the same noise floor. It's really wild. If you've never seen anything about it before, it'll seem like magic, and if you have, then you know the drill. I'll demonstrate this in a minute, but to show you the rest of the control, to stop recording, you just flick that same lever up, and then the light should turn back to white. That lets you know that it's not recording. And if you want to turn the unit off, you hold the lever down, and it'll start to blink to let you know, hey, you're holding down the button. If you don't want to have this happen, you better stop. And then after a few seconds, it actually turns off. And now in this state, you can use it as a card reader, like I said. Okay, let me grab my phone, and I'll show you the whole 32-bit thing. All right, so I've got the app running on my phone, and if you look here, you can see that it immediately shows the recorder that I have running. The other one's turned off. If we turn this one on, now I haven't paired this one yet, so to pair it, all you do is you press Add Device on the phone, and then it just says to keep your device close to the phone, and then it says Success, and then now it's paired. This one's called Georgia for some reason. I guess that's like its default name, but now you can see that there's two track E's listed there on the phone. You get your levels, you get a recording indicator, you get your setup, all the aspects of the recorder. If we go into the Georgia one that we just connected, then we'll see a waveform here, and you can see that should correspond to how I'm talking. Then we have the gain control, we have a low cut filter, and we have mic plug-in power. Like I said, the gain doesn't really matter, but if we were to turn it up, which I'll demonstrate in a minute, then you'll be able to see how the 32-bit float reacts. Up here, let's jump into the settings, and we're going to set it to 32-bit float. You can do 24-bit as well, which if you do 24-bit though, then the gain setting does matter. Keep that in mind. LED brightness for the recorder itself, the LED on or off while it's recording, and then you can change the name of the device here. We'll leave it at Georgia for now, and we can format the SD card. We'll go ahead and do that just to make sure that it's good to go for our first use. And this is also where you would set the headphone volume control, because there is a headphone out port on the top of the recorder, so you can monitor your audio as well. If you wanted to change the volume of the headphone, you would do that there. And then because this is made by Tentacle Sync, obviously they have the ability to sync, so you press on that, you put in your frame rate and the time and hit start, and then it will sync the two recorders together. Oh, and one other thing. If you switch from the 32-bit float mode to the 24-bit mode, there's a limiter that kicks in, so you still have that going for you if you prefer the 24-bit. But in the 32-bit float, there's obviously no limiter because who needs it? But both options there, I suppose. If you prefer to do 24-bit, you do have a limiter, and the low-cut filter works in both modes. The thing that I want to illustrate here is just how loud I can make this. So I'm going to use this I'm still going to keep this one rolling as normal, but I'm going to record on the second one, and I'm going to put it just over here, so that should be fine. Make sure they don't clank together. Actually, I'll put it over here so it won't clank against the other one. Okay, so I've got that one on myself now, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to set the level on Georgia. If you look here at the waveform and the meters at the top, you can see we're actually at a decent level now, but I'm going to go ahead and take that gain and jack it all the way up. And now if you look at the meter, and I'm not even talking that loudly, but if I got a little bit louder, you would see that the meter and the waveform is serious up there. And I think it's probably, especially if I was down here, I think it's probably clipping. Let me have a look myself. Yeah. So you can see that we're actually getting all the way up to 0, but it's not turning red. And so to demonstrate this, I'm going to start shouting now quite loudly while I tell you about today's sponsor, Storyblocks. And maybe on the bottom of the screen, I'll show you the correction in Audition. That's the only restriction, is that you need to have a program that can use the 32-bit audio, so Audition or some of the NLEs, and then you can take the 32-bit and bring it back down to the level that you want to operate at. And you'll basically just see everything that's clipped just sort of come back in because it was never really clipped. And then your audio will sound great. So listen to this message, and if you're wearing headphones, maybe just make an adjustment. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you could really use some footage, but shooting it yourself was either budgetarily or logistically unfeasible? Well, Storyblocks had you covered with an impressive collection of stock footage covering a wide range of subjects with unlimited downloads and 4K video. They're also amply supplied with backgrounds, overlays, and After Effects templates. And the interface is easy to use and navigate, and the clips are royalty-free for both personal and commercial use, so you can use them as much as you want, wherever you want. So if you think you could take advantage of a fantastic library of quality stock footage and effects, check out Storyblocks using the link in the description below. The only thing I don't know is if when I leaned down and yelled into the mic, I might have overloaded the mic. That's the one thing that 32-bit float can't help you with, is if you overload a microphone, then it is what it is. But there's no limit on, I guess, like the recording level. The last thing that we should probably talk about, which isn't actually that important to me, but it's a feature that might be important to you, is that if you have one of these jobs, this is, I guess, how Tentacle Sync is more well known. It's their timecode devices. So if you have these timecode devices, they'll also show up in the app there. And then all the people, all the talent wearing these recorders can have them on, and they can all be synced to the time code that's going into your camera, and that should make your post work quite easily. Let me take this one off so I don't have to keep wearing that And I will power it down in the meantime, because I think one mic will probably do the job. So the reason why these are like the perfect product for me, and maybe you can relate to this, is that there's a lot of options out there, obviously. You can use wireless lav set, there's other pocket recorders available, but I've always found issues. Whenever I use wireless, it works 90% of the time, but then 10% of the time, you're spending all your time in edit trying to figure out why it cut out or doing something else. And then even when you get your wireless thing down to a good science of how to use it, I find it takes longer to set up. I'm constantly trying to make things where I can just do them in a hurry without needing to set up my whole wireless set and do a test and make sure and check the range and change the signals and all that stuff. It's such a handy, like, wireless is great, but anybody who's ever used it knows it can also be a pain in the butt. And then those pocket recorders are out already. They're just okay. They don't have any of the fancy features, and often they don't sound that great, but they work. Tascam has one that's pretty decent. But if something happens or the level doesn't get set right, or if you have talent that's mic'd on it and then they gave you a good level and then all of a sudden they're just laughing and shouting out of nowhere, then you got to change levels. And if you don't have a sound person, then this is very difficult as one person, right? You got to go back in and change things. And if you're doing it on yourself, sometimes you pull it in post and you realize that you were coming in hotter than you thought and you're not constantly monitoring your own sound. So again, if you don't have like a location sound mixer, then these are the absolute perfect device. Literally doesn't matter what you do. You just press record. They come with an SD card and a lav, and I think the lav actually sounds quite nice on my voice, and I usually don't like the way I sound with a lav. I'm not saying it sounds great, but I think it sounds pretty good. I'm happy with the included lav. This is a interchangeable mic, so if you have mics that you really like, don't worry about it. If you want to see what maybe something else sounds like, here's your classic Sennheiser, whatever it is, G2, G3 mic, the one that everybody knows.
Have my mic.
Let me boot this guy up and I'll give you a little sound sample for it. I don't have a clip on this one, so
yeah,
I'll just
clip's
hold
right
it
here.
in the same position.
I've been looking for that mic for 6
Record.
months. Thanks, Gerald.
Let's put it here.
Great video.
And this one's still set to full tilt volume, but I'll just put it here. So now you have two mics to compare. I'll switch back and forth. One is your typical Sennheiser microphone, and the other one is the included lav that comes with the TRACK E. And so yeah, you can switch to whatever mic that you want. I think that the included lav sounds great. Stop recording on that. Again, very easy to use. As you saw, I just switched mics and got it rolling. And if this was something I had to do in a hurry, I would have just pressed record, stuck that in my pocket, clipped it on, and been happy with it. What else? They have plug-in power, which is showed in the app, which is great. So let's unscrew this. We'll leave it still running. But so say that you wanted to do, I don't know if this is something you'd actually care about, but maybe you were going to have like a recorded boom. So this is the D80 vMic D3 Pro, which requires plug-in power. So if we turn it on, the light is amber, it doesn't go green. But then if you plug it into something that doesn't have plug-in power, it just never goes green. But if we plug it in here, now the light goes green. And again, our levels don't really matter, so I'll just max this out to 10. Say maybe like, I don't know how to set it, or I know that sounds like I'm kind of endorsing being worse at shooting video. That's not what I'm trying to do. I think of stuff like this, like 32-bit float. I've read comments in the past like 32-bit floats for people that don't know how to set their levels. I think that's nonsense. It's like saying autofocus is not for professionals. Autofocus is a tool, 32-bit float is a tool. If you're somebody like me, who it's a lot easier to shoot with autofocus, then shoot with autofocus. It makes your life easier. If it's a lot easier to use 32-bit float, then use it. It makes your life easier. So I'm going to roll on this, and I'm just going to point it at myself like this, and I'll just shout at the shotgun mic. Maybe you just had it up here and you were recording your boom. So it's recording me now at max volume, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you did want to do that boom thing, like I already showed you, it has a low cut filter. So perhaps that could help with some handling noise that would come from recording your boom. Lastly, let's just do a test here in Audition to check the noise floor. I'm using the gain at maximum right now, which is 46 dB on the TRACK E, and I'm going to normalize this audio to about minus 17 LUFS. Now just be quiet so we can listen to the noise floor. And here's another test doing the exact same thing, but this one, the gain is set to the lowest setting, which is 6 dB. Again, I will normalize myself to minus 17 LUFS, and then we can listen to the silence now. These things literally solve every problem I've had with the lav. Of course, they don't have a wireless transmission, but again, with the type of shooting that I do, there is no, if I'm not monitoring, why does the wireless need to go anywhere? Like, what am I going to do with that exactly? Oh, it's over there. It's being recorded over there on wireless. Well, so what? I don't have headphones on. So they might as well. I would rather just have a recorder, a tiny one in somebody's pocket, and just trust it's getting the audio. It's going to last for battery. It's got plenty of storage space. I know the cards are compatible because they came in the recorder. You can't clip it. Doesn't matter how I set the gain. It all evens out, signal to noise ratio the same in the wash once you normalize the levels. So it's just so much better than fussing around with any system. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now. I just feel like I'm just shouting my excitement at you. But yeah, these are fantastic. Probably the highest recommendation I've ever given a product. So if you're like me in any of the regards that I mentioned, if you have any of the issues that I talked about with your own lav recording, I think that you're going to love these. I think they're going to solve all your problems for you. Anyway, that's I'm just shouting. This is me talking.
I've been looking 6 months for that mic.
When I get a product and I'm excited about it, get really kind of riled up, and
In fact, you can send me mine back when you send me the time of flight sensor back.
they're pretty small. I don't know. This is the size of my hand. It's about one nose length. What am I doing with my life?
Some bitch.
Slow down, Gerald. Just take it one breath at a time and just say the facts.
I understand the irony. I've been peeking the entire time. I would not be peeking if I have a mic.
Get really kind of riled up. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you found this video entertaining or at least helpful. And if you did, make sure you leave the old thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. But if you did not find this video helpful or entertaining, try setting the playback speed to 75%. All right. I'm done.